of the day, the agenda of the day. So let's do. So because of this, the image we have is very it's a little hard to see. The first thing I would do is I would just go on Google and search for the bullet so that we can find maybe a better image of him. So that's exactly what I did here. So I'm just gonna go to my tools. I'm just gonna show I don't want to show you guys how to Google search, but whenever you're looking for something, if you go into your tools right here, right, you can drop down the size and then click large, right, and it's gonna give you the largest options for this guy. So this guy looks pretty cool. I dig this guy. So I think I'm just gonna say save image, and then I will save him, and then I'll make this guy available for you guys as well. Alright, so that is pretty much that's it. Alright, so and this guy's got arms, so we might want to grab a variation. I don't know which one I prefer. This one looks a little meaner. Yeah. And because, they're essentially the same thing, we can use the same model and just throw some arms on them. All right. The only difference is this guy's got like the little red eyes or whatever, and then he's got his mouth open. So I'll show you how to make both of those. All right, so let's save the image again, and then we're gonna save this guy. And now we've got those two images that I will place right in here.
I figured it out. If you want to look at it real quick,
Look at what?
I'll take it. The update on my model.
Oh, this guy? Oh, who's talking?
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
okay, that looks cool. We got some broken stuff right there.
yeah. I'm still working on that part on the
Okay.
bottom.
Yeah, it's a good start. Good start. All right. I will also tackle. I'll be tackling that one as well. So yeah, you can see how I'd approach it in 3ds Max, and maybe you can find some tips and tricks that you can use to make that happen. Okay. All right. So yeah, let me post that in here. I'm gonna post that in assignments and due dates, so you guys will have that same reference as well. All right. So boom and boom. Upload that guy. Upload that guy. All right. So there, we've got our references. And now we can go back into 3ds Max. Just gonna hit G, Shift, hold down Shift, and drag, make a copy. Delete this, delete this. Just hit M on the keyboard. And now I'm going to go and find my reference wherever it is. I'm gonna drag it and drop them in here. So I've got that guy. And I'm gonna bring this guy in. Alright, and as you guys know, to put an image on a plane, all you need to do is drag from this bitmap here. Right, drag it to the base color, assign it to whatever it is you're working on. And then in your plane settings, you can throw a UVW map on it, and then you can click bitmap fit, and then you can locate your image, and then make sure that it fits. So as you can see, it resized it, right? It resized it to make it fit the actual ratio of the image. So now that I know it's right, I'm just gonna scale this guy down a little bit. It's a little big. All right, so I'm gonna right click. I'm gonna freeze selection. Now I can't click it. I can't do anything to it. Let's hide these guys. So actually, I'm just gonna delete these guys. All these little extras. No. Freeze selection. All right, so I'm gonna zoom in right here to our bullet, and sorry about that. We're just gonna start with a, let's see. I'm gonna start with a cylinder. All right, I'm gonna start with a cylinder, like so. And then, you guys know in 3ds Max it's a two-step operation. So I created the radius, now I'm creating the height. So now, if I click E, I go into my rotation, and then I select my y-axis, and then I rotate it 90 degrees. And I'm snapping because my angle snaps are on. And to toggle them, all you have to do is click A. I'm gonna wait for my computer to autosave. Give it a moment. All right, it's autosave. So, like I was saying, I'm just gonna rotate this. So I've turned it off. If I turn off my angle snaps, you see how incrementally it's doing 40, 50, 60. It's not doing it by the angle. So I hit A. Now it does 5, 10, 15, 20, now it's doing it by angle, and now I can snap it to that 90 degrees. So I make sure it's perfect, right? I make sure that I turn it 90 degrees on perfectly. Now I'm gonna go look and see, okay, I've got 18 sides here. This is about the amount of sides that I want. So if I hit F4, it's gonna show me my sides. And I'd like to show you guys how to just start it from scratch. So I'm going to remove these height segments, and then I'm going to go into my modifier list here. I'm going to hit edit poly. I'm going to drop it down, right? I'm just going to drop this down, hit E on my keyboard, and it's going to pull up the list of E's, edit poly, throw that modifier on there. Right, I can also right click and convert it to an edit poly, but the reason I don't want to do that is because I don't want to destructively model. I don't want to destroy. I don't want, if I want to go back and maybe add some sides to this, I want to go, be able to do that in the future. So let me give myself that wiggle room. Like, that's usually my mentality is, let me give myself that wiggle room. Another thing I'm going to do is I'm going to hit Alt and X. Right, Alt X, it's gonna take it and throw on an X-ray kind of material on it so I can see through my model. So now I'm just gonna reduce the radius a little bit so that it matches, right, my silhouette. I'm making sure that my radius here matches the silhouette of my model. So now that I've made sure it's perfectly aligned, go back into my edit poly, and I can't do that if I've converted this to an edit poly, right? So I can't do that. So now that I've gotten to where I want that, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to select my edges. Now I can start to kind of play with these and see where I want this. So I'm going to select these faces, and all of these correspond with a key on my keyboard. So if I hit 1, 2, 1 is the verts, 2 edge, 3, 4, 5, right? You can do this the cool guy way, right? Which is using your hotkeys, or you can do this the granny grandpa way, which is going to select it and stuff like that. So be the cool guy, hit 4 on your keyboard, select. Now if I hold down shift and drag, there's a new thing in 3ds Max that now if I shift drag, it creates an extrude for my poly. So now all I have to do is hit R on my keyboard to get into my scale. I'm going to scale it down to match that bevel, right? Just that bevel. Shift again, hold down shift. I'm going to drag out, right? Hit R, shift. I'm just going to drag this out again. Now to create this second bevel, hit R on my keyboard, right? Get that nice flail going. Hold down shift, drag back out, right? Then shift, drag it again, right? And then we can create that last bevel. All right. So we can do the same exact thing for this side. So we can just select this, Alt, drag, Alt, like left click, drag. You're dragging that marquee selection, right? And my marquee selections are right here. If you're looking for why is it's rectangular, it's right here. And if I hold this down, I can get different shapes for my marquee. So I can Alt deselect, Control to select, Alt to deselect. Now I've got my front poly selected right there. I actually want to move it back because if you guys can see, this transition happens about right there. So I'm going to want to pull this guy back right here to where that transition starts. Now I'm going to click shift, hit R on my keyboard, drag a little bit, right? I want to make sure that I am matching that silhouette as much as possible. And I don't want to do, 1,000 of these where I'm doing, like this. And then, I want to do kind of big sweeping ones. So I'm going to go kind of like right here. Because I really want the computer to do the bulk of the lifting. And I'll show you what I mean by that. So I'm hitting W, shifting, dragging. Right, I might do making sure that I'm getting to this point right there, and then shift, drag once again, maybe do 1, 2, 3. Okay, that's not bad. All right, one more like that. Meet it at the nose. All right. So now we've got our basic shape in place here. So we're gonna want to select this guy. Let's pull that guy back like so. So now, if you guys look, if we want, we could go back to that swift loop. If we hit shift, right, it'll put one right in the middle, and then average that for us, right? So just like that, we can get something looking cool. All right, so we have one of the bullets that doesn't have the mouth. So this guy, I didn't know that there was, one that didn't have the mouth. So they both have eyes. One has red eyes, one has the mouth, and the other has no mouth, the eyes, arms, kitty cat ears, and a cool little kitty cat tail. It's pretty cool. It's a pretty cool kitty cat bullet we got here. So I was also wondering like what this was, but I think it's the reflection from. It's supposed to be the reflection from this pipe here that's under the belly. I don't know if maybe it's like a cat with a white belly. I'm just trying to think of is that the texture or is that a reflection? You know, so that's something.
That's the texture.
It's
That's the belly of the
it's
cat,
like
because if you
it's
look
the
at the
cat belly.
ears, you can see that it's
It's
kind of
got
white,
white.
and it's a
Okay.
tail
So I was
too.
like, oh, I was like, did somebody mess up the textures or is this, you know? So thank you for clarifying that. And I haven't played this game, so I don't know. I've played Mario, but I haven't seen. This is a new kitty cat character to me. I've never played. I'm familiar with the OG bullets, but not these new variations. So thank you for clarifying that for me. All right, so for the mouth, there's a few things we're gonna be able to do here for this guy. All right, so what I'm gonna do first is just gonna shift drag a copy out. You guys know how I like to do that. Just shift drag, just in case anything I do kind of goes awry. We have a backup. It's always helpful. Another thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go to the top view, and let me kind of divide this guy right here in half. Actually, it's Alt Q. If I hit Alt and Q, it will isolate the mesh, and with that, we can work on it solo. So I'm gonna hit P on my keyboard to go into perspective. I'm holding down Alt and then I'm middle mouse scrolling to kind of move around my model so I can right click connect like so. And I'm gonna do that to the front as well. Just making sure. Then I'm gonna go to my top view just by hitting top T on the keyboard. Now if I hit 4, right, I can go into that top view, select these two sides, delete half of it because, well, all I want to really do is work on one side. So now let's unhide all. Have on the keyboard again. Now let's hit Alt and X. Now we're back into our X-ray view once again. All right. So now we can throw an edit poly on top of it. And if I hit Alt and C, I can bring out my cut tool. And now I'm just going to start cutting this bad boy up. All right, so I'm just going to start cutting this guy up. Just cutting this guy all the way up. Trying to just kind of following that the silhouette. Alright, so what I can do now is I can hit 1 on my keyboard, go into my vert mode. I'm going to hit W to select, and what I can do now is I'm going to constrain these to the edge and just kind of make them just kind of a little more in line with our silhouette here. So just going very simple. This is just basic poly modeling. Right. Alright, so with these corner shapes, we're gonna have to figure out what we're gonna do with them. So for that, for right now, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna actually select all of these right here, right click. I'm gonna connect them. And this is gonna give me an edge loop right there. I'm gonna actually do 2. And then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna hit R on my keyboard, and then I'm gonna scale this way. Instead of edge, I'm gonna do none. I'm just gonna scale this way, and it's gonna straighten out that edge for us. I'm just gonna make sure it's all the way horizontal or vertical. Horizontal. So now the reason I wanted that is I needed something to kind of connect these guys to. So I can right click, right, and start to connect these guys. Right click, start to connect these guys to give me the shape that I need. All right. I connect this guy to that guy, then this guy to that guy. Right. So now I'm gonna go back on that edge and I'm gonna use that. Right. And another thing is I might want to add another one right here. Just to have something. Right. Let's see. I'm just gonna constrain it now to the face, and then back to the edge. Just like that. Alright, so now we've got our mouth shape in here. Alright, so all I'm now making sure is that everything is at the very least triangulated. So these guys fall on an edge, so I don't need to triangulate them anywhere. This guy didn't. He was just kind of floating. You don't want any floating verts out there. It'll mess up what you're trying to do. It'll mess up your smoothing, your subdivision, and stuff like that. So you always got to be careful of that. All right. So the next thing we're gonna want to cut in are the eyes, and yeah, we're gonna just keep it rolling. All right. So one thing I can do is, the reason that you guys are, what you're seeing right now in this bend is the perspective render. So I'm just trying to make sure that my my bevel and stuff is in the right place. So you always making sure double checking, triple checking, quadruple checking your work. Right, and I'm still constrained to the edge. I don't want to be constrained to the edge anymore. And you can set all of those to hotkeys. Actually, what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually delete all of this just so I can show you guys another way. Because the way that I did it, it could cause some irregularity, right, in the model that you're going to get. But actually, we'll address that a little further down the road. I'll show you guys what I'm talking about. Even though I got as close as I can, I could still be off. And the way I'm going to show you guys how to do it next is it's going to make sure that we're not off. So let's just go back to cutting up this guy. Right? Let's play Doctor or Operation. I think is that what the game is? Operation. All right. So this guy, he's got this nice mean scowl upon his face. All right, we're gonna try to give him that the best we can. All right. Actually, I'm gonna take it there. So you guys can see right there. There's kind of like a depression that his face goes into, and that's what I'm trying to get here. So now we can do the same thing where we're just adding these, right? You guys get the main idea at this point, right? It's just pushing and pulling polygons. I didn't constrain it to the edge. So it's just pushing and pulling This is the constant struggle of a 3D artist. If I hit control and backspace, it'll remove that with the verts. If I don't, it'll leave extra verts in there. So I'm gonna hit 2, control and backspace to remove that guy. Now I've got something better to work with. Okie dokie. Alright, we're cooking with some gasoline now. I don't know who cooks with gasoline, but yeah, that's what we're doing. Cooking with some gasoline. Alright, so now we've got our eye shape in here. You guys know what the next deal is. So because 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we have 5 faces. So now we need to triangulate this stuff that we've got 5 faces on. We're gonna start getting some pinching if we don't. So I'm just making sure 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So this guy needs something right there. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4. So 3 or 4, right? That's adequate. 5s, you're gonna start to have issues. So just be careful. Just trying to round this out with the shape as much as possible. As you can see, I'm just trying to evenly spread them out as much as possible. You know, you're not always going to get a chance to, but if you can, yeah, do spread them out. So you guys can see my shapes are starting to kind of get in here and starting to have something that looks familiar. So now let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So that's a no-no. So with that, I think I can just cut it up like that. So connect those two. So now we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, right? You guys are, if you guys, you know, are noticing, I'm just making sure, right? Even right here, we might want to move this somewhere, but 1, 2, 3, 4, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3. You know, it's gonna give us an issue. So let me see. Let's turn on the turbo smooth and see what we're looking at. Let's do Alt X. Okay, so I'm gonna select these guys. That's our face, and then we can extrude. Right. Let's see what the turbo smooth looks like. And that's, you know, it's probably where we have those little 5-sided issues, and that's some of the stuff that we're gonna need to take care of, and we can even retopologize a lot of this stuff to get a better mesh. So I'm gonna do this. Let's just make it a copy. I want to see what it would do. First, clear this moving groups. And topology on it. Use that extra 0. Compute. See what we get. See, that's a little better topology right here. So this is already a little better topology than this. I'll show you why. So now if I turbo smooth it, see how much smoother it's going to be than this turbo smooth. You see how we're getting all of these pinches and stuff? Well, our retopology is taking care of a lot of that. Alright, so that's exactly what I'm going to do. Alright, I'm going to delete this for now. Delete this for now so we can kind of finish this guy up and then throw that retopology on it. So this just, you know, these new tools that you guys have, I mean, it just makes your job so much easier nowadays that it's not even funny. It's not even fair to guys like me who had to come and do this stuff the hard way, right? Like nowadays you can be extremely proficient at this and not really even have to learn to retopologize properly if you're doing like hard surface assets and stuff like this, stuff that won't animate and, you know, stuff like that. Even some stuff that needs to animate you can use with this, you know, with this workflow. So yeah, this is a boon to you guys. So let's go back and select these guys. Select the biangle. I'm gonna select these guys right here. Alright, so let's hit Alt X again. And so this guy's got that like red in his eyes. So actually I'm just gonna select this guy, and then I'm gonna detach it to the element as a clone of itself. So it's essentially, in layman's terms, I think that's the term. It's just gonna make a duplicate inside of this. So now I have a duplicate of it in here. So if I hit none, I have this exact same mesh, but inside here like that. So now all I need to do is just select this outer shell like this, kind of pull it out like so, and it should give me the shape of that eye. So let's hit Alt X. Actually, what I'm gonna do is select this, delete, and let's retopologize this guy. the sooner I can retopologize this guy, the more I can kind of do with. I'm gonna maybe just do 600 instead of 500. I think maybe 100 extra polys might help this. Nope, it did not help us at all. Let's reset this. Alright, so before I retopologize it, I'm gonna go to my object here. I'm going to clear out the smoothing groups. Right, so when I clear out the smoothing groups, you can see that it becomes super faceted. What I want to do is I want to select the whole thing, and I'm just going to hit auto smooth, and it's going to smooth this thing by a 45-degree angle. So if I do smooth 30, it's going to do 30 degrees, this 45. So now it's saying things that are 45-degree angles to each other, they should be treated as smooth. Right, and my retopology uses that in some of its computations, so it helps when we have it looking like this. All right, so retopology. Now, if we do $600 and then compute, should get something a little better. So 600's almost there, maybe 700. Compute. You guys see the issue, right? It's right here. All right, we've got this guy right there. And another thing we can do is, so I've got this. I'm gonna actually cut this out right now. I'm gonna hit Alt and Q. I've got this extra little piece right here I want to delete. Just gonna delete this. And the reason it selected this whole thing, just so you know, you guys don't think it's magic, is because I still have my angle, select by angle selected. So if I turn that off, now when I select it, I have to hold down Control. So, and then after I do that, I know that this is gonna be off kilter. So I'm gonna select this border right here, like that. I'm gonna hit R on my keyboard, and I'm gonna scale it in on the Y-axis right here to make sure that it's completely straight. All right, now that I've made sure that it's completely straight, I'm gonna make sure that my auto smooth is still in effect. And now what I can do is, so it's having issues right here. So right here it's having issues. So what I think we can do is maybe add an extra poly right here to help support that. So that's exactly what I'm going to do. Do I still have it set to Alt-Y? I'm going to have my Swift loop, and then I'm going to Swift loop this way and this way. Just gonna try to give it some more support. And instead of this guy going in like so, I'm gonna Control backspace that guy. Right. And then remove this guy. Hit 1. Right click and then connect this guy. So now I'm going to go in my front view. F3 just to select this guy right here. And I'm just going to kind of move it to match that silhouette a little better, just to make sure. And I think this should help our retopology efforts. Alright. So let's see what we get now. Let's go into retopology. Let's do 600, not 6,000. and compute. Okay, so right here. So it's right here. Okay, let's cut this. Take this guy, control backspace, one on the keyboard, and then connect this guy this way. Okay. If that doesn't work, I'm gonna have to add some more polys to it, and that's fine. I just like to work as low as possible and then work my way up, just because you're gonna get a much cleaner mesh and something much more workable out of it that way. Alright, so this isn't bad. So maybe we go to 700 then. Yeah. Might have to manually fix this guy ourselves. So. 5. So maybe quadraflow. Disgusting. Quadraflow is horrible. Let's reset. So is Instamesh. Reform is the best one. All right, so it's using the smoothing groups. Maybe what if we don't use smoothing groups? Ugh. Yeah, you wanted to use the smoothing groups. Oh, okay. So if it's using smoothing groups, maybe if I give it more smoothing groups, it'll do a better job. All right, so let's do smooth 60. Now let's do auto smooth and retopology. Let's just remove the 0 and then compute. Now it's made a whole mess of that back end. Let's do 45. Compute. Okay. This isn't bad, but let's reset it to 500. Compute. Yeah. Alright. Let me see what I can do at. Turbo smooth. Alright. So now we've got better looking mesh, and I'm gonna remove this whole back part and just reconstruct it just because it looks hideous right now. That's fugly and hideous into one. Hideous. Let's see. Now let's just throw an edit poly modifier on this bad boy. Just hit F on the keyboard. I'm gonna do Alt X. Let's unhide all. Alright, and let's actually delete all of this right here to right there. I'm gonna make sure I have this guy selected. Okay. And actually, what I'm gonna do is these guys. I'm just gonna make sure that they are completely straight using that technique that I showed you guys. Shift, drag this guy all the way, actually, and then shift, drag this guy. Okay. So just like that. 2. So now what I can do is pull this guy back. And then I can select these inside, and then I can bevel these. Right. And then, okay. Alright, but I'm gonna wait till to symmetry it because it's gonna do some funky stuff right now. Just to show you guys where we are, where we're going with this guy in the future. So I want to now select this eye area. So as before, one of them has a full eye, and the other one, this one has a full eye, and the one with the red eyes has kind of like a half kind of eye thing in there. So we'll create the one that he's got, which is that half. So if I shift drag, it's just going to extrude it. So what I can do is I'm just going to detach it again. Once again, I'm just going to then pull this guy out like so. Then use this guy. So shift drag that guy like so. And then let's see what happens when we turn that turbo smooth on. Now let's start adding, let's add a few materials to this. I should have a black somewhere. Okay. So I'm gonna drag this guy over and make it a copy. You guys know me. So now though, I feel like I've gone pretty far. So I'm gonna actually convert this guy to an editable poly right here. And I'm gonna select this guy. I'm gonna throw a white material on him. So now we've got what the eye is looking like, and we're gonna scale this guy down just a little bit. We're gonna pull him in. Just pull him down like so. Make sure that he goes in. Now we can throw the turbo smooth on this guy and see what he's looking like. So what I'm going to do now is I'm actually going to detach this eye. So we're going to detach and uncheck everything, so it just attaches it as our eye. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to throw an FFD modifier on this guy. I'm going to use this FFD modifier to kind of modify it. So Alt X, I'm going to select this. All right. So this is the eye. So this guy's looks a little different. Okay. Just gonna scale this guy down. Actually, let's go into the edit poly for this guy. Scale this guy down quite a bit. So let's make this our red part. And then I'm going to use the FFD to push and pull this guy in place. Right? Using what I already have. Nothing crazy here, guys. Just like that. Make sure this guy's rounded at the bottom. looking like. I'm gonna want to push some of this back. So, and with this guy, we're going to throw he's got kind of a sharper edge here, so we can throw a swift loop in here, and it'll make this edge just a little bit sharper and not fall off as much. Like that. Alright. So I'm just going to go back into this guy. If I hit one on my keyboard, it's going to take me into the last thing I was using on there, so it's just my FFD modifier. So I'm just going to pull these guys in just a little bit so that they're going under that lid. Just going to drag these guys. All right. So now I've got an eye that kind of looks like that. Now if I throw a turbo smooth on it, we can see what we get. Alright, so now we're missing this guy. So that's supposed to be the red, and this is supposed to be the white. Actually move this guy. Okay. Oh, okay, so this is actually part of the red, and then that's the white. Oh, okay. So I think I need to modify this part right here to where it comes right to just the whites. So actually, cut that out. Because all I need is this. FFD 4x4, get one. So we need you guys to, I need it to be more dramatic. Yeah. So yeah, always be looking at your reference, because you never know. Just never know. Alright, so yeah, this red part is part of this under his the bullet part of it, so. It's gonna go to my. Alright, cool. Making sure, right? I'm just gonna make sure this guy goes straight through. Alright, much better. And now, I think all I need to do is So now I can actually use this geometry to get this shape I want right there. So I'm just gonna, once again, I'm gonna constrain this guy to the edge, and then use it as my interior. My interior. So as you guys can see, it's not really like rocket science, you know? You're just pushing and pulling verts. That's all you're doing. Pushing and pulling these vertices around and trying to get the desired shape you want. Alright, at least this part of it isn't the most difficult part. It's a little harder if you're doing concepts or something like that. That takes a little more. This is more like busy work. Once you get down to like the nitty gritty of the work, it really turns into you're just pushing and pulling, you know, polys and stuff like that. So, you know, once you get good at it, it gets a little different. So I'm just gonna use what I got. Use what I got. That's what I'm doing. Using what I got. So now, let's see. So now I'm just gonna, right? You guys see, I didn't create anything extra. Just using the polys and the verts that I already have. Make all the shapes I need. Now let's turn on Turbo Smooth. Okay, I got that weird. This guy's being weird, so if we right click connect, should take care of him. I just don't like that it's being funky right now. Just trying to be funky. Okay, this is better. Alright, so now I'm just gonna throw that red material on this stuff right here. And it should have that eye thing we're looking for. So let's go M. Let's see if I've made a red material. Yes, I have. It's a little lighter red. Just gonna shift drag this one that I've already made. Alright. Just gonna make it a little lighter. Increase the value a little bit and yeah. So let's do select by angle again. 45, shrink, and then I can just shrink, turn this off, and then select those guys right there, and then throw my new my material on there. Now when I turbo smooth it, I should get something that looks like that. Why everything's okay, we're gonna go to the FFD modifier for a second here. And once you're done with an FFD modifier, you can just throw another one on, right? And it'll, you know, and then you can just keep working from there. I think that's what I'm going to do right there. Alright. So the next step is for us to... Next step is for us to create the pupil. And that's essentially the same thing as this. So I'm just going to throw in edit poly modifier on this guy once again. This time I'll take off the turbo smooth. I'll select by 45-degree angle, which selects that for me, or the front, at least the front verts. I'm gonna shift, drag like so. I'm gonna shrink it once again. Alright. Maybe one more time. Okay. So I'm just gonna hit F3. Actually, turn this off. Deselect that. And then what I'm gonna do with this guy is I'm gonna detach once again, and then clone to the element once again, and now I can bevel this guy out. Alright, so we just made the black part of the eye. Let's see if I can add it without killing that. Okay, so convert this guy to an edit poly, and then select the inner, throw that black material on it. And then select these guys. So F3. So I'm actually going to select this just to round it out. And I'm going to, where's my edge? So I'm going to constrain it to my edge once again. So now I'm actually going to finally detach the pupil itself. So for real, I'm going to actually now, let's actually detach it. Let's hit OK. Alright, and then now we've got our pupil, our eye, and everything else in there. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add an FFD modifier. Once again, you guys know the deal. So if we Alt X, right, we can X-ray through the whole thing, and now I can place my my eye where it needs to be. Right, just like that. So anybody have any questions for me so far? Gonna hit F4 so I can see what my mesh is doing. I'm just gonna hide this as well. I'm gonna hit 1 on the keyboard. I'm gonna use this to bring these guys in. All right. I'm using it to kind of shape my mesh. Once I've done, you know, and I don't want to go kind of sub-object anymore, I can use this to do macro, just big form changes to my mesh. And that's what the FFD modifier is good for. guys can see, this is pretty straightforward stuff. I'm not doing anything crazy, and then, right, like I said, if I throw another FFD, boom, brand new, I can keep going. So I'm just gonna hit 1 again to go into it. Now if I throw a turbo smooth on it, alright, we'll get something like that. Now let's do unhide all. Let's do Alt X, Alt X, Alt X. And then, so now we just gotta make sure that it remains flush on that surface. So just gonna get one right there. Actually, let's actually throw. So this. Okay. Take that off. So now, just gonna throw another throw another FFD. Hit T on the keyboard. Hit F3. Hit 1. Alright, and then I can just use that to move these guys in this shape to where they're supposed to be. Just like that. This one actually. Well, it's gonna try to autosave. Give it a second. Okay. Just gonna actually pull this guy down a little bit. Maybe this way. So the view, let's do local. Shift drag. Shift drag again. I'm gonna remove this. I'm gonna grab my FFD. I'm gonna use this to start shaping my shaping. W. Okay, let's do view. Smooth object. Okay. Alright. So what's going on? Let's go grab these points. Okay, now let's do a turbo smooth. This guy as well. pull this guy in. I'm gonna affect the pivot. I'm gonna center it to it. So now I can select the pivot itself. And right now it's kind of Gumby-ish at this top part. What I can do to solve this issue is I'm gonna select this top edge right here. And I'm gonna pull it up. Actually, let's take it off edge constraint. Just gonna pull it up this way. Like that. Into the eyelid. And then what I can do is I can add a swift loop. I'm gonna add an edge right here so that whenever I turbo smooth it, it doesn't come out. Alright, it hardens that edge up there, leaves the rest of the eye pupil soft. Alright, I'm gonna do the same thing to this guy as well. I'm just trying to get the best position, and let's move this guy just a little further in. Alright, just further in for that guy so that I can have a little more room for our people here. Alright. So yeah, you're gonna have to go in and kind of go and get in there and make sure that everything kind of fits together. So now, boom. All right. Nope. Get our eyes. So let's go back to this FFD. Actually, I'm gonna throw an edit poly on this guy. Right here, and you guys will see what I'm talking about. You see how that edge is super soft? Watch what happens when I throw a swift loop in here at the top. Boom, just like that. And that's what you want. Alright, so now I can throw another. But actually, before I throw another edit or FFD on there, I can take that off. Go FFD one more again. Just for like some final minor tweaks. Just my little tweaks. Right, just some little things that I see that I kind of want to fix. Alright. So just like that. Then he's got like this hot white spot in the middle. So I don't think I'm gonna model that in. I might let's turn this off, convert it to an edit poly, and then maybe just turn these guys white. So I'm just gonna do this, go here, make them white, and then just turn on the turbo smooth. Alright, so let's get this guy a little more round. Let's turn this one on. Go to this guy. And to make this guy just a little more round, we can once again edge, right? At this point, you guys, you know, this modeling thing is it's relatively easy once you get the hang of it. And then you can just gonna scale this in. this guy up. Scale. Alright, just like that. Alright. So another thing I can do is we can do let's see we can do a geopoly. We need an open face. Alright, so no, I'm just gonna do a manual. Scale. Oh, okay, I know what's happening. I was like, why is it getting a hard edge right there? Well, it's because of these two right here. So, okay. So I need to take this guy or this guy and remove it. No. And then I can connect these guys. Let's see what that does. Alright, so might have to. Just gonna right click it, cap it. So now, if I hit geopoly, it's gonna give me a perfect circle. Alright. So I've got a perfect circle now. Select this guy, hit M on the keyboard. No, that's M. So now I'm just gonna assign that guy to that guy. So now that we've got this guy in there, we can let's do an inset. Inset, delete, and then I'm gonna grab this circle right here, and then control select those, remove those two. From there, remove those two, and then bridge. And then select whatever's left, right click, and then cap it. And now I should have clean geo, clean everything. Alright. So, just like that, we've got ourselves the eye in place. Another thing we can do is might want to. Yeah, I think I want to bring this guy out a little bit. Just this edge right here. Not a lot, just a little bit, just enough to peek out a little bit. Because it's gonna add to the roundness of my shape. All right, just like that. We've got our guy woolen hand, and we can go ahead and add, select this triangle 45, and then M on the keyboard, and add that red to its to the mouth as well. All right, so the next thing we need to create are the teeth this guy has. This guy's got quite a bit of teeth to him. So for the teeth, they are just, you know, so he's got, I'm gonna see how many points he has on his teeth. So he's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 lower. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 at the top, 7 at the bottom is what it looks like, to fit into each other. Alright, so hit F on the keyboard, shift, do none, and then shift, drag these guys here. So what I need is to detach these. Alright, so I'm going to detach these guys. Just call them the teeth. And then the teeth are going to be white. So let's go to M. Okay. So I'm just going to hide this selection, hit Alt and X. I'm going to use this kind of as a map for the teeth. So let's do 1. And another, you know, if this is taking too long, sometimes I like to use the selection lasso, so I can just, you know, if I've got something like this that's an organic shape, I can just select using that, and then pull these guys down like so. So now what I want to do is, once again, constrain these guys on the edge. And I'm always only working on half, right? So that all I have to do is symmetry these guys whenever I'm done. Alright. So just gonna do Alt C, and we're just gonna start cutting these guys up. Cutting these guys up. Just cut it right there. And we'll do the Same for the bottom. Just boom, 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 and then boom. Okay. So I'm gonna delete everything else that I don't need. Okay. So let's just take this off and then delete, delete, delete. Delete, delete. All right, and the beauty of this is, I'm not really worried about the topology right now. But whenever I am, I've got that handy dandy retopology tool to do all the hard work. So I'm just trying to get these shapes in here, and really as quick as I can. And then I'll leave the rest up to the engine to give me a good starting point. Nope. We'll see. I might want to target weld after that, but we'll see what we get. Alright, so here's kind of what our teeth look like now. Alright. So now I'm just going to take the rest of these little pieces that we don't want. Delete them. Alright. So now let's use our handy dandy schmandy retopology tool. Now let's compute. Let's do 50 instead. Reset and then compute. No. So let's cut this out. Alright, so I guess it's saying we're not trying to be helpful. You want me to do a good job, it's gonna want us to be helpful. So we're just gonna target weld some of this stuff. All the unnecessary geo. So actually this is necessary, let's see. Let's do one this way. We'll do one. So that is valid. This one, alright. Let's do 2. Let's delete this guy. Gave it a little too much credit. It'll do the work, but it wants us to help it out. So it's just going to target weld some of this stuff. Alt C. Let's cut this down. 1, 2, 3, 4. Oof, that's too much. Let's cut this guy down. I mean, right now I'm just trying to help out the algorithm, so it's not having to say, what did you mean by this thing? Okay, we can use this maybe. Yeah. Okay, so I'm just gonna cut this guy up here. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, it's too much. Alright, just help it. Help it help us. Kind of deal right now. And then, this guy's probably... I'm going to constrain this guy to the edge. Actually, I'm going to just going to target weld this guy. Now let's apply our retopology tool. See where that gets us. Alright, so we're at 5,500. Let's compute. We're getting. But let's try quadrifill. Oh no, let's reset it and then instamesh. Do compute. No. Reset. Reform. Don't use smoothing groups. And then compute. Reset. Let's do 300. Compute. It's like it's almost there, but it just isn't there yet. Let's do by angle and compute. What I'm getting right now, it's not good. Let's reset it. Instead of 300, let's use 100. Set and then compute. Okay, this is almost better. Okay, this isn't bad. Right, I want to avoid as much distortion as possible. So the end goal is to be able to throw a shell on the inner. And then, do 3 segments and then turbo smooth. Not all. So now we've got our mouth, our teeth. I think I'm missing. Oh no, we lost our mouth. I think I accidentally might have detached this guy. That's easy fix. Just throw a bridge. Remove these. I'm going to want to remove a few of these extra little bits and pieces there that I've gotten. So you sometimes just have to clean up. There we go. So now that it's all clean, I can select these guys, remove these two, hit bridge, right? There we go. Say check. I'm actually then going to take this guy and right click cap. I'm going to select this guy, connect. Then I'm just going to do Alt C like that, boom, boom. So now I'm kind of following that same same pattern. So now if we turbo smooth, you get something like that. Alright, another thing I want to do is I want to see how soft this mouth is. We want to make it a little harder. Alright. So now let's just throw the swift loop in here, right about there, and then right about there. What I can do now is I can use this selection and just grab a little bit more. Nope, a little too much. And then just extrude this guy back further, and then delete. Just make sure you gotta make sure you delete the extra bits you're gonna get from there, and then turbo smooth this guy. Let's go unhide all. Now you can bring back the teeth, and then yeah. Now I can add that our signature red to the mouth. Now that we've got our red in there, turbo smooth, unhide all, and then go into the turbo smooth. That's what we got. So now, to finish this guy out, I wanted to show you guys how I would go about kind of tackling this final little area. So I'm gonna hit Alt X to show you guys what I'm talking about. So this little bevel right here, to finish it off, we really need to kind of combine everything together. So I'm gonna do just that. All right. So I'm gonna hit Alt Q on this guy. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go into my turbo smooth. I'm gonna select this edge right here, and then I'm gonna throw on a symmetry modifier. You guys know what that does by now. Alright, hit 1 on my keyboard, just pull this guy in like so. Okay, so let me turn on my snap just to make sure that it if I right click here, I'm gonna snap instead of, okay, it's already set to I wanted to snap to vertices, so I'm gonna just grab this guy and then snap it to that guy. Let's do edges then, because I can do edge as well. So I'm just gonna close and I'm just gonna grab this egg edge and snap it to that edge. There you go. Alright, so now I can turn off my snaps. And then hit P on the keyboard. Alt X. Alright. So let's unhide all. Let's hit F on the keyboard and we're gonna throw an edit poly modifier. I'm just gonna select this this border right here, and then I'm just gonna scale it in a little bit, and then scale it on the Y like that, all the way. Control select the verts, right click it, and then weld it. Weld those verts together. So now I should have. What just happened? Oh, okay. So just want to make sure these guys are welded together. Check. So now if I go to my front view, unhide all, Alt X, what I want to do now is I'm going to bevel this interior. So I'm going to ring, control select, and then bevel. So this way I'll know that my bevel is going to be the exact same on both sides. Right, so now I've got my bevel there. I'm gonna now select this edge, right click, and then throw actually a chamfer on there, bad boy. I'm gonna chamfer it, actually cancel it, still in the chamfer, let's bevel it again. Just throw a chamfer on, and let's change the type to a quad chamfer like that, and then just bring it back down, and then just like that we've made ourselves our bullet. Alright, so now we can just throw in a turbo smooth, Alt X, got some weird gummy stuff going on. Let's control. Instead of selecting it with that, let me select my marquee. Alt Q. Select this. I'm going to select this. So shrink. I'm going to go F like that. And then I'm gonna delete this because this guy's trying to give us some issues, but we're not gonna sit for that. We're just gonna select this guy, hold R, scale, right click, let's just collapse it. We're not gonna notice that backside anyway. Alright, so now all we need to do is just throw some edge loops on these guys and we can call it a day. So ring, just like this guy, ring, connect. We're going to connect 2 push those to the edge like so. I'm gonna actually use this one that I already have, so I don't have to make another one. Pull this guy all the way to the edge, like so. And we should start having something cool. Right. So does anybody have any questions for me? I know I went a little bit over. The last part would just be you guys just throw a symmetry on these guys. So just throw a symmetry. So does anybody have any questions? Any questions? Alright, so let me try to take it a little bit further. Let's take it to the next level. This is kind of like a basic start for this guy. So let's take another look at this reference and then see what I'm talking about. So unhide all. Let's grab the reference here. Let's unfreeze all as well. And just shift drag up. And as you can see, the eyes are kind of like an indent, and then there's like this little cross shape in between there. Alright, so let's get that going. Okay. To do that, I'm gonna remove these guys, control backspace. Then I'm gonna select this guy right here, just like that. Alright, the next thing I want to do is I'm gonna chamfer this edge right here. I'm gonna chamfer this guy. Just like that. So now I'm getting that recess that I want into the mesh. Just like that. Alright. So it's gonna go pretty far down, and just like that. Let's do. I'm just trying to get this kind of as far as I can. Alright, so set the check mark and then let's turn on the turbo smooth and see what we got. Alright, so now we've got that recess in there. And another thing we can do to start to get that guy back in is, the reason we're not getting it all the way is because we've got this edge right here that's acting like it's acting like a hardening edge, so it's gonna, because these are so close together, they're going to start to conflict with each other. So what I can do is I'm gonna just target weld these. I'm gonna target weld this guy to this guy, like so. And I'm gonna do the same on this side. So I'm gonna just start target welding some of this stuff to this guy. I'm gonna target weld that to that. I'm gonna target weld that to that, actually. I'm gonna do that like so, and now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna just remove some of this stuff that's giving us this extra, so I'm just gonna control backspace like that. Alright. So now I'm getting something a little more defined. The thing is, this top part goes quite a ways out. Right. So we're gonna need to pull this guy out just a little bit. Right, to get that shape. I might even want to just remove this guy as well for now. I'm gonna target wall this guy to this guy. Just like so. We've got this little bit of a crooked kind of angle right here that I want to fix. So just gonna actually constrain it to the edge once again. Smooth it up. Alright, just making sure that it's nice and smooth and everything works. Let's do it on the face. Go back to the edge. So just general cleanup and you know, making sure everything is looking nice and neat. See what happens if I can. There we go. I think it's something more like that. See what happens if I turbo smooth that out. Yeah. Alright. So as you guys can see, it's just a process. It's just a process that you go through constantly, and you know what I'm trying to do is get this little depressed area, this right there. So I'm gonna need to pull this guy in quite a bit. And I can just scale that in. Hopefully I've got my edge selected. On the face. Just like that. Right. so now I'm gonna throw an edge loop right here. Alright. So that got a hard edge on that eye. Alright. Another thing I'm going to want to do is I want to define, right? So there's a lot of hard edge. Right, so modeling is pretty much your hard edge transitions to soft edge transitions and how well you handle those transitions. So definitely be mindful of that. So just turn this on. So there's a hard edge in here I wanna kind of define for the eye right here. So I can do a swift loop right here. Right. See if that gets us. Okay. Let's do 2. And then just gonna cut this guy right here, all the way right there. I'm gonna do another swift loop right there, and then right there. Okay. Okay. So I've got it right there, but I've also got this weird bubble thing going on right here. So I just need to fix this situation here. So I just need to make sure that this edge right here goes just all the way. I'm just gonna start target welding. So some of these guys. Right. So I've got this guy there. Like so I can probably target weld this guy to this guy like so. Alright, continuing that. Let's turn on the turbo spin and see what we're getting now. Alright. Something much cleaner, much cooler. Alright. Let's do an unhide all. Now this is a much much cooler looking, guys. So another thing I want to fix is this eye situation that we've got going here. So, let's just alt Q it just so we can isolate it and see what's really going on under the hood. So we've got some pretty interesting geo going on here, and we're doing our FFD modifier. So we're just gonna try to clean a lot of this stuff up. Just gonna delete this. All right, selecting my model, just making sure got everything I want like that. And there's even little tools like I can use to help me straighten this. Let's maybe make it plainer now. Let's do a view line. Alright, so let's actually control this, and then I'm gonna right click and I'm gonna collapse it. Alright. So control shift like that. Now this is a much better, much cleaner shape than we originally had. And with this, we can create something like that, and then that, and then now we can just gonna chamfer that so we have something a lot cleaner, looks good, and will perform just a bit better for us. So right click, I'm just gonna chamfer this guy right here. Just like that. So I want a nice rim highlight right there. And we're gonna get it, right? Just like that. Now we can unhide. Everything looks cool. Looks good. And yeah. Pretty much the gist of this guy, and once you've done that, you can throw another symmetry modifier on there. So I'm just gonna hit F3, select these guys, right, Alt Q, and then select this guy, edit poly, go into the symmetry modifier once again. Now, we should have something that looks much neater. Let's do one. And do one here. Just like that. Go into these teethus. Let's go to our symmetry. And then just like that. Okay. All right. That's it.